All right, we are. Hello, everyone. Yes, there's strength tips for women, even in middle age. There is room for us to build strength, and that's what we're having conversations about today. Weight loss and strength tips for every woman. And I am honored and delighted. I say this a lot to have on our guest. She's a friend, she's a colleague, she's a phenomenal human, and she's none other than Dr. Janeeka Benoit. Did I pronounce that right?
You did.
Oh my gosh. Benoit. Oh, it's spelled Benoit, yes. And she will be having this conversation with us. Please, if you know someone who should be here, have them join us live or replay. You can forward, you can share. And always don't forget to like or subscribe. Um, I call her sis. She's a sister to me. Sometimes it's hard to introduce her as a board certified internal medicine and sports medicine specialist that she is. She helps high achieving women stop fighting their bodies and start working with their metabolism. She not only preaches, but she also practices what she preaches. And if you watch her on social media, you can see the evidence. Dr. Janeeka, it is good to see you again.
Yes, I am so delighted to be here. I'm always happy and delighted when I'm in your presence.
Yeah, yeah. All right, now for those who are watching who are like, okay, that's cool. She sounds like a boss lady. Could you kind of introduce yourself? Fun facts about you, real quick, and then why you do what you do? Why this niche, doc?
Yes, yes. My name is Dr. Janeeka Benoit, also known as Dr. J. And fun fact about me, I don't know if it's really that fun, but I love repping that I'm from Brooklyn, New York, because I believe that it is the best borough in New York City. And it has helped to raise me and raise me well. And I really got into this because of my own journey. And so I have really been active a large part of my own life. I've been running, I've been doing hit training. And right when I got into my mid 30s, I noticed my body started shifting, where I also started developing more fat around my abdomen despite my regular physical activity. And concurrently, my lab markers started to shift as well. So my cholesterol started increasing, my blood pressure started increasing, not to the point where I needed any medications, but it was different than what I had experienced. And so I was like, okay, well, clearly I'm keeping everything the same, but my body is changing. So I need to do something different. And that is what I did. And so I have been active in doing cardiovascular and strength training, but I started to shift my workouts to more strength training. And then I really had to become more intentional about my food. And I really had to make sure that I was incorporating protein and fiber, and I had to be mindful of the type of carbohydrates that I was eating. Right. And so, with making some of these shifts, I was able to change my body composition. And I can say that even for me, in the last 2 months, I've been checking my body composition, and lost 13, I have lost 13 pounds of muscle. I mean, sorry, fat. I've lost 13 pounds of fat, and I've gained 8 pounds of muscle, and my weight went up by zero point 0.7 pounds. So that all says to say that once I started shifting the type of activity that I was doing, I started shifting my nutrition, and started to not focus on the scale, but really focus on my ratio of body fat to muscle. Then that is when I was able to like accept the changes, and you see the changes that, okay, my body's changing. And I was like, okay, I need to understand more the science of this and help other women who are like me, especially during those perimenopausal years, understand this for themselves.
Awesome. I like how your paint turned into purpose in that sense. So I like that. And you mentioned how the scale went up by a teeny bit, but you're smiling. Yeah, that's the win because the muscle shift and the body composition shift is what matters more than necessarily the scale. So kudos to you, Doc. Now, let's talk. I hear this conversation a lot. Women say it's not fair. Men exercise maybe 4 times a week or 3 times a week. I do the same thing, even amp it more, adjust my food, but yet it's like hard to lose weight. So why do you think women struggle differently with weight loss?
Yeah, and so just for context, women, we are born with a set number of eggs, and over time, as we get older, that number starts to decline, and with that, the hormones that we produce from those eggs start to decline, specifically estrogen and progesterone, and these hormones are especially important for building muscle mass and also for bone health. And so what happens is as those hormones, estrogen and progesterone declines, you start building fat. And it's really like your body is trying to compensate because we know that fat produces estrogen to some degree, right? And so it's trying to compensate for the loss of hormone. And unfortunately, a lot of the times that fat tends to accumulate around the midsection, and that is a significantly correlated with insulin resistance. And then with insulin resistance, you can start seeing changes in your A1C, changes in your blood pressure, changes in your cholesterol, that can also be correlated as well. And so we see these changes, not just the ratio of fat going up and muscle going down, but then you also see those changes in your metrics, in your blood pressure, and in your lab values. And so that is why it becomes difficult, because like our bodies change over time as we get older, and it's due to estrogen and progesterone loss, which is extremely important for muscle mass and bone health.
All right. So and this is a good segue to someone's asking this question. She said, I've been dealing with the state of finding what works for me. What is the best way to stay consistent and encouraged during the weight loss journey, especially dealing with hormonal issues, which I will add is frustrating. Like you're doing the things and you're like, I've been at it for 1 month and it moved point 0.5. Rawr. So, Doc, what would you say to this to
Yes,
help people?
I
Thank you. I'm
yeah,
listening.
yeah. So I love this question because I think the other big thing about it is understanding our medical history and our body type. Because from a genetic standpoint, women, based on their body type, they hold fat and muscle in different proportions. So let's first start with medical history. So with medical history, and your body type, a lot of that there is genetically predisposed, right? And with that, you have different body types. So, for example, you have a body type where a woman is naturally thin and not much muscle mass. You have a second body, there's three. You have a second body type where you have a woman that has naturally more muscle. And then you have the third body type where a woman has more muscle, has more fat on her. Okay. And so with each of these body types, that changes our strategy. So the best way to think about your body type, think about like when you were a kid, like when you were a young kid. I know for me, I was, I had a little bit of weight on me as a kid. All right. And that's another reason why I'm so active now. But I did have obesity, as a child. And it was initially, it was really hard for me to lose weight, but I stayed very, very active. And over time, I developed a more muscular body type. And so a lot of the times we're a combination of two, and I certainly am. So I have a body type where I tend to accumulate more body fat, but I'm also able to build muscle, right? So that's a combination body type where I have a body type that holds fat, but I also am able to accumulate muscle, right? So kind of think about that. There are some women, especially when I speak to them, they're like, listen, I've always had a problem with weight since I was a child. Like it has always been hard for me. Okay, that's someone, all right, who has a body type that holds on to more fat. There are some women where they were thin their whole lives. They were like, listen, I was thin my whole life. Everybody called me, spaghetti. They said I had spaghetti legs. I was thin. Everybody tried to get me to eat. I was able to eat whatever I wanted. I never gained weight, right? And but then over time, when they hit perimenopause, you're like, okay, now I'm starting to gain weight. Now this is different. All right. That's someone who's naturally thin. So based on those three body types, and like I said, it can be a little complicated because we can be a combination of two. So based on those three main body types requires a different strategy. Okay. Because if you're someone who is naturally thin when they were like as a young girl, then just overall your lean body mass is smaller. And so you don't have that much muscle mass. And so with that person, they really have to focus more on the strength training. Okay. And their nutrition changes too. Um, they're able to eat a little bit more carbs than somebody else who has a body type that tends to accumulate more fat. Okay. So it depends. So there's a specific nutritional strategy and a specific physical activity. For someone who has a naturally muscular body type, I'm not saying they can eat whatever they want, but they don't have to be as stringent with their nutrition. They do have to make sure that they're getting adequate protein and they're getting adequate carbs, but as long as they're doing that and doing strength training, they're able to maintain muscle mass and even build muscle mass pretty easily. All right. And then there's someone who has a body type who tends to hold on to more fat. Now, what is more important for them is fat loss. Okay. And so just at a baseline is making sure that you're getting in strength training. And so for strength training, I recommend if you could think of 2, 3, 8, and 2. So that is 2 sets, 3 exercises, minimum 8 repetitions, 2 days a week. Okay. So that will help you at least maintain muscle mass and not lose it. And then getting in some cardiovascular exercise, according to the physical activity guidelines, that is about 150 minutes per week. So I would say if you start there and if you just as a baseline and then go up, so 150 minutes a week you can say, for example, that is 5 days, 30 minutes of walking. All right. I would say at a baseline and then go up as needed. That is a great way to just at least start. And then from a nutritional standpoint is making sure that you're having adequate protein. To make it really easy, I would say at least 90 to 100 at a minimum, right? And making sure that you are not only you getting your protein, that you are making sure the types of carbs that you're eating. So these are carbs that are not going to cause such increased spikes in your blood sugar, like white rice and donuts and cereals and crackers, right? Focus on carbs that's going to stabilize your blood sugar, like brown rice, quinoa, lentils, sweet potatoes, things like that. So I say all that to say is number one, going back into your childhood, thinking about how your body responded to, physical activity and food. And then based on that, you determine the nutritional strategy and then the physical activity strategy.
I like that. That was a mouthful. I like it. Now, she asked a very important question I wanted us to highlight. She said the best way to stay consistent because putting in the work. I mean, this is a demand, so the return on investment is sometimes a little low the first few weeks, I guess. So, Doc, for someone saying, what's the best way to stay consistent and encouraged during the weight loss journey, especially with the hormonal issues? Do you have any pointers for consistency? Any
Yes.
tips?
So I would say number one, don't be sedentary. Now, when I say that, sedentary is anything less than 5,000 steps a day. And so if you get 5,001 steps a day, listen, you're already winning. Okay. So that helps. Just thinking about it that way is easy because you can say, okay, I'm just one step more than becoming sedentary. It makes it easier in your mind to to grasp. So get more than 5,000 steps a day, and that can be very simple, right? Especially if you especially if you commute to work, it could be easy to just get more than 5,000 steps a day. Now, if you're a remote worker, you may have to be more intentional. about getting
Mm-hmm.
those steps in. And so maybe taking some breaks outside or getting a walking pad in the house would be beneficial, but don't be sedentary. Get at least more than 5,000 steps a day and put it on your schedule. Okay. And put it on your schedule. And before you put it on your schedule, ask yourself, what is the bare minimum that I can accomplish if I had a bad day, right? Because we know that life be lifing. And sometimes we have well intentions to, work out 5 days a week and get those 10,000 steps and do 4 days in the gym for strength training. But we know that life lives, and sometimes we may not be able to do all that in a week. All right. And so before you put it on your schedule, think about what is my bare minimum amount that I'm going to accomplish. If you want to start with steps, start there. Okay. If you want to start with strength training, start there. But think about what the bare minimum amount is and then put it on the schedule so you know it's there and you block the time out for it.
I like it. I like it. How do you stay accountable? Do you have someone that also keeps you accountable, or like how do you stay accountable to your calendar? Yeah.
So honestly, I have been doing this so long where it's like brushing my teeth, right? So
Wow.
if I do not get movement, and that's the thing, once you start doing it, you don't think about it. Like I don't have to put physical activity on my calendar because I do it so much. Do you put brushing your teeth on the calendar? You know what I mean? Like you don't put I have to brush my teeth today because I would hope you do it every day and maybe twice twice a day, because once it becomes a habit, it's just
Mhm.
automatic, right? But I do have my bare minimum, and my bare minimum is 3 days a week. 3 days a week for strength training, and then my bare minimum steps is 3 days a week, 5,000 steps. And so that is my bare minimum. If I get that in, I'm good. And I could do that if I've had a bad day, if I had a rough day, I'm getting it in.
I like that, Doc. And and that was a very good question to ask. I would say also creative batching. See creative ways you could do it. Do that work. Do it with your loved one. Do it with your kids. So quality time is infused there. Do it while praying. Do it while dance. Like make it fun. And I like how you say, who was the bare minimum. So it's like you're tracking to see if I can just get one more step. If I do 10 steps on the way, it makes you actually do more as you shoot for a goal. So have metrics you're tracking. It's almost like telling your brain to reward yourself by doing more. Not all of us are like you, Dr. Janeeka, like second nature exercise and shoe. Uh, it's not like brushing teeth to me. No, it's
I,
not. Not yet.
I know for some
Not
people, start by brushing teeth. I understand.
yet. Oh, she says thank you so much. All right. And then now in your experience though, Dr. Janeeka, what did you say is the biggest mistake women make when trying to lose weight? And you
Oh,
can give us maybe one or two.
I love
Hmm?
this. It is comparing our bodies to other women's bodies. That's it
Amen.
right there.
Shoot. That's a
Like
whole
I said before, our bodies are different. Our body types are different. Our medical history is different, and that affects how we store fat, how we accumulate muscle. It changes. And so comparing our bodies to another person's body is the trap, because you may have a woman who is able, once they start, lifting weights and they have a body type that naturally puts on muscle, and they start putting on muscle, and then with muscle you also lose body fat and their body starts to change. You're like, oh, that she was able to lose weight and she looked so good and she did it in like in no time, and but here I'm here struggling and I can't seem to get any weight off. And so that is like the easiest trap, because we are unaware of what type of body type that we have, and therefore we're unaware of our specific strategy that is required.
That is powerful. I think that's for even in life. Comparitis is a stealer of
Yes.
joy, not worth it. So we're not going to do it. And for those of you listening or watching, she said strength training is for every body type. I heard you. I caught it with each body type you mentioned in strength training. Did I get that right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay. Well, All right, awesome. Now, what would you say if you give only one nutrition tip that actually works long term? Or you could make it two. But if you could give one nutrition tip that actually works long term, what would you say that is?
I would say to find a protein anchor, which is find a time of day that is easiest to get your protein in and get it in. For some people, that may be the mornings, um, and they're able to get a substantial amount of protein, at least 30 grams or more, in at least in breakfast, and that way they know I've got this amount of protein in for breakfast, and I'm going to continue to build upon it for the rest of the day. For some people who may not, like to eat in the morning, not everybody likes breakfast. Maybe their meal, their first meal of the day is like a brunch meal, but making sure that you're, getting in that 30 grams of protein in your first meal as an anchor is a great way to start off, because that way you can say, okay, I started my day with this amount of protein and I'm going to continue to build upon that. It gets a little bit more difficult um if you eat inadequate amount of protein and then you have to build upon that during the day. But if you get at least 30 grams, which is about the size of your palm, okay, you don't have to get a scale now. You don't have to get a scale, which is about the size of your palm. So, and then an egg is about like 6 grams of protein, though. So it's not exactly a palm. But if you think about it in that way, if you're having like eggs for breakfast, and then pairing it with another protein source, and then also making sure that your meals are balanced. So this is especially when we are eating carbohydrates. And so, for example, if you are eating, let's say, rice, for example, let's say you're eating white rice. Say you want to have a bowl of white rice. It doesn't say that you can't have a white rice. But number one, it's important to know your medical history, right? Are you someone who has some insulin resistance in your family, and just in your own medical history? Do you have pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes, right? And so especially for those who have insulin resistance, making sure that you're balancing your carbohydrates. So when I say balancing your carbohydrates, you're having your carbohydrate with a protein, a fat, or fiber. And the reason for this is because it decreases the insulin response. Every time you eat, every time you take in a carbohydrate, insulin also is produced. And the more that we can decrease that insulin response, the better that our blood sugars stays steady during the day. And that's going to keep your energy also steady during the day as well, because I work with a lot of high achievers and we're expending a lot of energy. So we need to make sure that our energy is also stabilized, and we can do that with making sure that when we are eating carbohydrates, that we're pairing it with a protein, fat, or fiber. Oh, I can't hear you.
That's because I'm muted. I said that was really good. This has been very power packed and very practical. So I appreciate you, Doc, for doing this. I have one more question before we wrap up. For
Yes.
someone who's watching, who's like, all right, I'm going to start next week, not today, maybe not tomorrow, but they're going to start next week. What simple three-step plan, Doc? It got to be three because we're trying to make it easy for our listeners and viewers. What simple three-step plan would you suggest, Doc?
Yes. First, from a nutritional perspective, I would say find your protein anchor. Find that time of day where you're going to maximize your protein intake. Okay, so if you're a breakfast person, if you really like to have a nice lunch, if you really like to have a nice dinner, find that meal where you could get your 30 grams of protein. It could be the size of your palm. You don't have to get a scale. Okay, that's number one. Number two, don't be sedentary. So that means try to get at least more than 5,000 steps a day. That's it. You don't have to shoot for the 10,000. Okay. You do not have to shoot for the 10,000. If you get 5,001, you're winning. Okay. So that's number two. Do not be sedentary. Number three is try to get two steps or 2 days of strength training in. Now, this could be very simple. Let me show you how you can do this. Let's say you want to start off with a squat. You know, every time you sit down, you're doing a squat. So you can literally sit on the chair and then not sit on the chair, but gently sit on the chair. Don't sit in the chair, but you can tap the chair with your rear end and then go up, right? And so let's say you did, yeah, you want to try that.
Okay, that's a good one. That's actually pretty good. Good for
That's what
core.
we do. We sit down. We sit down. So let's say you did 8 repetitions of those squats, and you chose the 2 days of the week. You said Tuesdays and Thursdays. When I sit in the chair, I'm gonna do 8 reps. That's it. And we sit all the time, right? Like we have to get in the chair all the time. So if you said, do it one more time. Find your protein anchor, right? So find the day of time that you're going to get your protein in. That's 30 grams. All right. Don't be sedentary. Get more than 5,000 steps a day and get 2 days of strength training in. Choose the days. You could do Tuesdays and Thursdays, and you could start off with a squat. It doesn't have to be hard. You can start off by tapping your rear end on a chair and then getting up, doing that 8 times.
And this was powerful. Thank you so much for doing that. You know what's so interesting when you're talking about protein? I remember, and I'll put a link in the chat. Protein shakes, my plant-based protein powder. I do about 80 grams in
Oh,
this throughout the day with chia. Yeah, oh, I get my protein in. So
yes,
big
I
is
love it.
big game changer. And I love how you make it practical and how you're weaving some of these things into what you're doing even during the day. That's going to be the time stretcher.
Yes.
So be encouraged, man.
Exactly. Yes. And because the thing is we are running lives. They're very busy and we have to find practical ways. And there's all these things in the guidelines, that I read and that I know, but then I have to come and make it practical, for patients so they can actually get it done because if they feel like physical activity and nutrition feels like a huge hill to climb, you can feel easily discouraged. But taking them into bite-sized steps, right? Just starting at your minimum and then building upon it. Because if you see that you're able to at least achieve the minimum, you're gonna be like, oh, this is easy. Like, let me keep on going up, right? And so we're gonna keep on building and building and building. And this is what's going to build strength. That is going to build endurance. We're able to teach our families. We're able to lead by example, right? And so if you have children and your children see you consistent with your nutrition and your physical activity, that's going to want them adopt the same lifestyle. And this is how we bring it into generations. Because I know you teach everybody how to live long and well. So I'm gonna I'm gonna bring it. I'm coming. I'm gonna bring it back.
Yes,
We are
ma'am.
teaching families to live long and well,
Yes,
but
yes,
we
yes.
have to set the example. We have to set the example. And so this is how you do it. Living Spring Family Medical Center.
Yes, ma'am. That's transgenerational health. We talk
Exactly.
about this it's transgenerational wealth, but transgenerational health is important to carry that wealth. Doc, for people who are watching, who are like, I like this doctor. She's funny. She's phenomenal. I'd like to work with her, partner with her, maybe have her help me on my weight loss journey. Doc, where can people find you?
Yeah, so my favorite place to hang out is Instagram. So my Instagram handle is HeyDRJ_. Come say hi. I'm usually giving out tips, and something I love to do, and I love to take medical topics and break them down into bite-sized pieces. So come learn.
Awesome, awesome. She's also on Facebook and
Yes,
LinkedIn,
and LinkedIn.
and and she's also the CEO, founder of Investo Health and Wellness. Sis, Doc, what you doing? You're supposed to say that too. Come on,
Right.
man.
Okay, let's take it back. Yes. So I also have a telemedicine practice in Vessel Health and Wellness, and I help women high achieving women predominantly stop fighting with their bodies and start working with their metabolism, about like what I personally went through. And we are licensed, I'm licensed in 10 states. So that's Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, Indiana, Kentucky, Mississippi, Ohio, Minnesota, I said Mississippi already, West Virginia. I think there's another one that I'm missing. But that is always changing. I'm always getting more licenses. So I'm licensed in multiple states. So if you are in any one of those states, I am currently also taking patients as well. And yeah.
Thank you so much, Doc. And thank you to our viewers. I mean, if you could shout her out in the comments, Dr. J, been very phenomenal. Please celebrate her in the comments as well. And as always, like, share, subscribe, and comment. Let us know what tip you're going to start practicing based on this conversation. Dr. Janeeka, thank you so much for doing this. This was awesome. Appreciate you.
You're so welcome.
And we're going to do this again. So I will communicate with you as a part 3, part 4. We've done this before, so we'll do this again. All right, everyone. Thank you for watching. Dr. Ola Benton, looking for a good, thorough, caring family physician to help you live long and well. And we have conversations with awesome doctors like this to help you live long and well. I am she. Have a good one. Please practice what you just learned. It's much more than head knowledge. Let's practice. Let's live long and well. Have a good one, everyone. Thank you. This was good.